Hello everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we're diving into a story that looks warm and peaceful on the outside, but hides a shocking twist underneath. A simple bamboo house, a family will, and suddenly, someone close is secretly planning a kidnapping. Why? Jealousy? Desperation? Or something even darker? Stick around to find out. And if you enjoy stories filled with tension, mystery, and unexpected turns, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. The handcuffs clamped shut with a harsh metallic snap, digging into Lynn's wrists as two officers dragged her across the gravel. Dust curled up around her shoes, late sunlight flattening across the empty lot behind Tieu and Uri's old warehouse. Radios crackled in the heat. For a moment, everything looked unreal, like a scene Uri had stumbled into rather than lived through. Uri stood frozen. He saw the tangled hair, the wild cornered eyes. But somewhere behind that mess, he still saw a younger Lynn on the bamboo doorstep, sharing roasted sweet potatoes with a barefoot Tu Tieu. That little girl was gone. Now, her hands were chained. Lynn. The word barely left his throat. Only a few hours earlier, the world had smelled like lemon leaves and grilled cassava cakes. At the bamboo house, the air felt normal, warm. Sunlight filtered through the woven walls, striping the old wooden table. Uri sat there with a stack of papers, copies of Mrs. Lan's will, legal amendments, breakdowns. Every line pointed to one thing. Everything would go to Tu Tieu. But Uri wasn't thinking about inheritance or numbers anymore. He was thinking about the cracks forming within this already fragile family. Envy, insecurity, the loneliness of not being chosen. Outside, lemon trees rustled quietly, as if trying not to disturb the tension brewing indoors. "Uri, the water's boiling!" Tu Tieu's voice rang from the tiny kitchen. She sounded cheerful, but a rasp clung to her tone. She'd been at the market since dawn, smiling through gossip about the will swirling behind her like flies. He pushed his chair back to respond. "Coming." He almost said it, but his eyes landed on a plain white business card tucked in the corner of the table. A name, a number. The private detective he hoped he'd never need. He hadn't hired him out of suspicion, not until Lynn's looks at Tu Tieu became hollow and empty. Not until her dark jokes about luck began cutting like blades. Some people just need to show up, and the world hands them everything. Those words had stayed with him, just like the ambush on the quiet company road had stayed. Two men in black, Lynn's gray motorbike knocked over, a pink helmet skidding across gravel. How they'd run to pull her up, breathless, worried sick, and how she'd walked away without so much as a thank you. Her face stiff, her silence louder than shouting. That night, Uri lay awake under the bamboo roof and realized something inside her had cracked. So he did what he hated. He watched her. He hired someone not to expose her, but to stop her from dragging others into that crack. Then the phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number, same regional prefix as the detective's card. Uri's pulse jolted. He angled his body, blocking the kitchen's view, and answered. "Uri speaking." "Mr. Uri," the detective said, voice low, urgent, calm. "We've got a situation." Uri straightened. "I'm listening." "We confirmed your suspicions. Lynn has been meeting the same two guys in black. They're in a vacant lot behind Tieu and Uri's old warehouse. They're planning a kidnapping." Uri's heartbeat thudded like a drum. "A kidnapping?" he repeated. "They named the target. the detective continued. A young woman, Tu Tieu. They've got a vehicle, masks. They're ready. In the kitchen, a pot lid clinked lightly. Steam hissed. The voice on the phone could have been a bad dream. Except the girl they wanted to throw into a car was humming while rinsing cups a few feet away. You have proof? Uri asked tightly. Audio. I'm here right now, and Lin is giving the orders. Everything in Uri narrowed into a single razor edge. Don't engage, he said. Send me the location. Keep recording. The map pin arrived seconds later, a glowing red dot. He turned. Tu Tieu stood in the doorway, apron tied, flower streak on her wrist, hair sticking slightly to her forehead from steam. Her eyes were gentle, but worry lingered beneath them. You're quiet today, she said softly. Did something happen? For a moment, he couldn't answer. Because the person who never asked for anything, the one who gave and gave, had been turned into prey. I need to go into town, he said at last, steadying his voice. There's a problem with Tian Chuang's documents. Stay here today, okay? Rest. You've already worked too much. She frowned. But I promised the old lady by the river I'd bring her cassava cakes. She's sick. Tomorrow, Uri said too sharply. Then quieter, stepping toward her. Please, just today. Stay home. For me. Her eyes searched his face and found the truth he wasn't saying. Fear. Not for himself. For her. Okay, she whispered. But when you come back, you tell me everything. Deal, he said, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. He grabbed his keys and stepped into the fading light, dialing the police as he walked to his bike. This is Officer Tan. Officer, my name is Uri, he said. There's an attempted kidnapping being planned right now. I have audio evidence. The target is a woman named Tu Tieu. Suspects: a woman, Lin, and 2 men in black. Location: vacant lot behind Tian Chuang's old warehouse. Silence. Then, do you have proof, sir? Yes. If you wait to double check, they'll move. If I'm wrong, you can deal with me. If I'm right, you stop a crime before it happens. Another pause. Shorter. Understood. We're sending units now. Stay back. Do not interfere. Uri hung up, kicked the engine. The bamboo house shrank into the distance as he sped through lemon trees and fields. Wind cut across his skin, but it cleared his focus. Lin had crossed a line. He was riding straight toward it. By the time he reached the industrial zone, the day was thinning. Rusted gates, abandoned warehouses, jagged shadows. 2 police cars waited by the turnoff without sirens. Still, quiet, coiled like a trap. Uri parked behind a dusty sedan. The detective leaned against it, sunglasses pushed into his hair. You're fast, he muttered. Where are they? Uri asked. The detective pointed toward a crumbling wall. Near an old pickup. Lin gave the timing. They move when she says go. And Tu Tieu? She never left the village road. If you hadn't called the police... He didn't finish. Neither needed him to. Behind them, officers gathered around a rough map. No sirens. Team A on the south wall. Team B on the east. Quiet. We catch them in the act. Then Officer Tan looked at Uri. You stay behind me. You're a witness, not a hero. Uri nodded, but his eyes had already drifted past the wall. He saw the dented pickup. 3 moving figures. Lin beside the driver's door, arms wrapped around herself, heel tapping nervously. The men in black by her side, hoodies up, masks ready. Wait for my signal, Lin snapped, her voice sharp, but her fingers trembled. Uri felt everything in him twist. There was no misunderstanding, no accident, no moment of weakness. She had spoken these words, planned it, directed it, And now, the police were closing in. Officer Tan lifted his hand. The squad split silently into two groups, melting into the broken edges of the vacant lot. Uri and the detective crouched behind a shattered piece of concrete, just tall enough to hide them. Uri's gaze locked onto Linh. For a heartbeat, she hesitated. Her eyes drifted to the road where Tu Tieu would have appeared. A crack of uncertainty flickered through them. A wisp of who she used to be. Then it vanished. Her shoulders squared. Her jaw hardened. "This is it," she muttered, barely audible. Uri closed his eyes for a moment. A memory flashed. Years earlier, Linh crying on the bamboo porch, ranting about being the adopted one, the girl who always came second. He had told her then, "Someone will choose you one day, Linh. Someone who won't leave." He had believed it. She had believed it. Somewhere between then and now, that belief had shattered. "Ready," Officer Tan whispered. The officers tightened their formation, unseen but everywhere. One gave a small nod. Another checked the pickup's blind spot. They moved like a closing net. 3. Linh glanced at her phone. 2. One of the men in black tugged a mask up over his mouth. 1. "Police! Don't move!" The command ripped through the lot like lightning. Everything exploded. One man bolted toward the truck. An officer tackled him to the pavement with a crack of bone and gravel. The second man spun, raising his fists, only to find a pistol aimed directly between his eyes. His hands shot up. The fight drained from him instantly. Linh stood frozen. Her face went empty, drained of every emotion, of every excuse she might have been ready to shout. She turned in a frantic circle, searching for any gap, any escape, even though there were none. Then she turned and saw him. Uri stepped out from behind the broken wall, the detective beside him. "Uri." The name scraped out of her throat. He didn't look furious. He looked tired, like someone who had watched a bridge collapse, expecting it to, and still felt shocked when it finally did. 2 officers approached her. "Linh," Officer Tan said evenly, "we have evidence you organized and facilitated a kidnapping. You have the right to remain silent. We advise you cooperate." She stumbled backward, shaking her head. No, that's not. They're lying. I just came. The detective clicked a button on the recorder. Her voice blasted into the air. "Just get her in the car. I'll handle the rest." Each word hit the empty warehouse walls like a slap. Lin's knees buckled. Her eyes snapped back to Uri, desperate, like a drowning person clutching for the only floating object left. "I didn't want to hurt her," she said, voice cracking. I just wanted things to be like before. I have nothing left. No one chooses me." Uri breathed slowly and stepped closer. "You're not a child anymore, Linh. This isn't a prank. You chose this. You walked here." Tears slid down her cheeks. "If she leaves, if she's scared, if she disappears for a while, then Mama Lan will remember I was there too, that I was her daughter too." The officers exchanged grim looks. "Turn around," one said gently. Linh sagged, letting her wrists be pulled behind her. The handcuffs closed with a final, brutal snap. As she passed Uri, she whispered, barely audible, "I hate the feeling of being left behind." He swallowed but didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. The police car's door thumped shut. The lot fell into a heavy silence. Then a shout broke it. "Uri!" He spun. Tu Tieu was running full speed down the path, apron still tied, sandals slapping gravel. She must have ignored his request and followed the sound of police engines. She grabbed him in both hands, breathless. "Are you hurt? Why did you leave like that?" "I heard..." Her words stopped mid-sentence. She stared past him at the window of the police car. Lynn sat behind the glass, hands cuffed, face blank, staring at nothing. "What did she do?" Tu Tieu whispered. Uri took her hand softly. "She planned to have you taken. Those men were waiting." "Me?" she breathed. "But why?" "Because she's angry at the world," Uri answered, "and you're the closest thing she could reach." Officer Tan approached. "Mr. Uri, we'll need you at the station to give a full statement. The detective too. We need to verify whether Lynn acted alone, or if someone else might be behind this." "Someone else?" Tu Tieu repeated faintly. "It's standard," Tan said. "We investigate anyone involved with the will. This may not be as simple as it looks." Uri glanced at the police car again. Lynn's eyes found his through the glass. Not rage, not hate, just exhausted grief. "We'll come," Uri told Officer Tan. The convoy engines roared to life. Dust billowed as the cars rolled away. Uri and Tu Tieu stood side by side, silent. She leaned into him gently, just enough to feel he was real. "You hired a detective to follow her," she said softly. "You didn't tell me. It wasn't to expose her. I just wanted to protect you, without scaring you. I hoped I was wrong. I prayed I was wrong." She closed her eyes. "And if you hadn't?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. She wrapped her arms around him suddenly, tight. "Thank you for being paranoid," she whispered. He let out a shaky breath and held her. "For as long as I'm here, no one touches you." They stayed like that until the lot emptied, until the dust settled. Then they walked back to his bike. As they reached the road, Tu Tieu looked back. The vacant lot seemed ordinary again. A crushed energy drink can, a length of rope, tire marks. But now she knew the truth. Danger doesn't always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it waits in daylight, wearing familiar faces. Night settled by the time they returned to the bamboo house. The kettle whistled, ginger tea perfuming the air. Everything looked normal, but the silence pulsed differently. Uri sat at the table with police paperwork, but his mind was still hearing the snap of handcuffs, still seeing Lynn's face as she whispered, "I hate being left behind." Tu Tieu placed 2 cups on the table and sat across from him. After a long moment, she rested her hand over his. "Whatever happens next," she said softly, "we face it together. With Mama Lan, with anyone willing to stand with us. We owe Lynn the truth, but we don't owe her our lives." Uri lifted his eyes to hers. He saw fear, yes, but also something fierce and steady, something unbroken. He intertwined their fingers. Outside, night swallowed the fields. The storm wasn't over, not even close. There was still the police investigation, Mrs. Lan's reaction, the question of whether someone else whispered in Lynn's ear. But in the warm circle of lamplight, Uri and Tu Tieu sat side by side. Whatever came after Lynn's handcuffs, they would meet it here, together. In this episode, we dive into the unpredictable world of digital content creation, where originality can spark success, but also conflict. Our story follows a creator who releases a video about choosing the right niche for YouTube. The content resonates with viewers, gaining positive feedback and growth. However, the creator soon discovers that someone has copied their entire script, word for word, without giving credit. This situation raises an important question. In the era of creativity and AI, who truly owns ideas. As frustration rises, the creator reflects on whether fighting plagiarism is worth it, or if continuing to innovate is the most powerful response. The episode sheds light on the emotional journey behind building a channel, the ethical dilemma of copying online, and how creators can stay authentic while facing challenges in the competitive YouTube space.